And welcome back to Daily Wrap. I'm Joe Concha, along with Rick Unger and Heather Hansen and the Rabbi Brad Hirschman. So today, Donald Trump made headlines when he announced he would not be hosting The Apprentice this season after the big ratings and the big win by almost Geraldo. Who won it? Lisa Gimmings, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but instead, he will be launching, get this, surprise, a presidential committee. Okay, an exploratory, as it were. A not-so-humble Donald, in a statement today, said, quote, "We must rebuild our infrastructure, control our borders, select local government of education, greatly strengthen our military, care for our veterans, and put Americans back to work. We must stop other countries from totally taking advantage of our representatives." It's like an imitation of McLaughlin and Trump combined. I'm going to stop doing that.
Exactly right.
Who are being out-negotiated at every turn. "I am the only one who can make America truly great again." Here is the Donald back in February at CPAC discussing why he could run.
It's very hard for a person like me to run because I have a lot of things happening. A politician, they run. What do? They run, they lose, they win, they run. With me, I give up a lot when I do this. I already told the Apprentice people, NBC wanted to renew, and I said, I'm doing something else. It's very important to me. I'm doing something very important. So I'm looking at it very seriously. I don't want what happened to Mitt Romney to happen again, because that was a tremendous blow for this country.
So what are the polls saying about Trump? Nothing really good. Last week's NBC Wall Street Journal poll found that 74% of GOP primary voters couldn't see themselves supporting him. Ouch. Rick Unger, I know you have a rule against this sort of thing.
I have to talk about Trump.
But you are a pundit, and therefore it is our segment. So what do you think?
I really hope he runs. You know why? You know what else he has to give up beyond The Apprentice? He has to give up his financial records. He has to give up the records of all those companies he's bankrupted for them, I believe. I hope Trump runs. I think it'll be the greatest thing in the world to see. Let him get in there with the real big boys of politics and find out what a PR putz he really is.
But how do you really feel?
Let me ask you a question, Heather.
Yeah.
Have we been suckered again into falling into even covering this story because this guy does attract attention, he gets clicks, and he's interesting to a certain extent because he's brutally candid, yet here we are talking about it. Are we just suckers?
I think so. In fact, Politico reported that NBC News had no comment when asked about whether or not he had renewed on The Apprentice, and they did say that they plan to renew the show and with a to-be-determined date. So either we are being suckered, or they just don't figure he's going to go very far, or they plan to maybe use his kids. But it seems to me that this is a way for him to sell more books and get more people talking about him, and not so much that he's actually going to see it through.
So if you're Donald Trump, okay, just for a moment.
That's a scary thought.
Right, the hair is different, but I could see some similarities.
Thanks.
Why do you do this? In other words, I understand it brings more attention to him and he's able to sell more stuff. How many yachts can you water ski behind? How much is enough? He doesn't need to brand himself or get more attention to himself anymore. Why go this route when he knows he's not going to do it?
Because once you're Donald Trump, the sky is never high enough. Because when you're the guy who says, I am the only one who can save America, I don't care what your vision of America is. If you think you're the only one, you're not a candidate, you think you're the Messiah. And political messiahs, right, left, or center, have really bad track records. But they're always the last one to know it. He has no idea when you ask him intelligently, how many boats can you ski behind, the Donald? He goes, me? When you're as big as me? They don't have enough yachts for me yet.
But he has no intention of running. It's not like he has a messiah complex because he thinks he can solve problems. It's about attention.
I don't know. That's what's really profound about this. Rational people like us say, pure ploy. What makes any of us think, based on his behavior over the last 2 decades, we're dealing with a rational actor?
Here's everything you know. You'll appreciate this because you cover a lot of media. The last time he went before the press at the television, where they all get together to talk TV shows, the first thing he said was that The Apprentice was the most popular show on TV. A reporter said, no, Mr. Trump, that's really not true. He says, well, it's the most popular show on TV in 18 to 49. Well, they said, well, Mr. Trump, that's really not true. They said, well, it's the most popular show on Monday nights. This is what he kept doing. Yeah. And they said, well, that's not true. He says, well, that's what they told me. This is Donald Trump. Right. He just makes stuff up.
Now, let me play contrarian for a second. In 2012, there was a point where he actually was leading
Right.
Mitt Romney and everybody
Only
else
in the
who was
Republican polls.
No, that's what I
Because
mean.
Democrats aren't that stupid.
That's the point that I was going to make, though. When you go through the list that we showed, the things that he talked about, he wants to build up the infrastructure, he wants to close the borders, he wants to increase spending for the military. These are all things that a lot of people can get behind. If someone else were giving that list of what he wanted to do, what she wanted to do, when they became president, a lot of people could get behind it. But it's because of his ego issues, it's because of his history of being an SNL skit, that he just has no credibility. But when you read that, it is consistent with what many of us want to see in a president.
Okay.
I think the thing to watch is that in the end, he does those talking points. They're reasonable for a lot of people, desirable for many people.
Right.
But it turns out the only flesh he can put on those bones is we're not dealing good at the table. So the guy who did the art of the deal would reduce the world's only superpower left, most important force for decency and democracy on the planet, to one more deal on a building. I mean, the whole thing is a joke. It doesn't even matter if you agree with him. To take him seriously is really
Buildings
bad
he
for
doesn't
America.
even own, but claims to own because he licenses his name to the people who really own the buildings.
Just like his
Okay,
show.
So we have 60 seconds. Let's have a little fun. How is this going to play out exactly? Let me give my theory first. He does the exploratory committee, then somebody asks for his financial records, as you brought up, Rick, and then he
says
says
no, none of
he
your
says
business.
no, and then he finds a candidate that maybe he really likes and can back, and then he backs out. That's my scenario. Yours.
I can buy that. I think that's very realistic.
Okay.
Yeah, I can buy that.
I think he wants to be a player, so that's how he does it. He has someone that he can back, he can say, put in his support for that person and still feel like he's a player.
That's it. Make him dance around him. And the key is what Rick said. It's none of your business. I'm above that. And that becomes his way to back out of it. Me share my records with you people? Are you kidding? I'm the Donald. Done.
Wow. Maybe he's positioning himself for a cabinet position, like Secretary of the Treasury or
I think if you said that to any of the real candidates, they'd get a good giggle out of that.
or Secretary of the Interior, because he has very nice hotels. No one's going to argue that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's
Secretary
going to
of
have a
Interior
hard
design, maybe.
That's my YouTube
He'd
moment.
have a hard time arguing against giving his documents, given that he makes such the birther claims, and trying to get birth certificate. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that just
He
puts him
lost a
over
lot
the
of people
edge.
with that.
Yeah.
That's
Puts him
that's
over
And he
the
also
whole-
lied. Go figure. He said that he sent somebody over to Hawaii to check it out. Nobody ever went to Hawaii for him to check it out.
Yeah.
He lied.
I'll take the-
Anyway, we have to mercifully end this segment. Anyway, coming up next on the Daily Wrap, guess which White House administration is one of the least transparent in history? I'm sure you know, but we'll be talking about it next anyway. This is the Daily Wrap, only on Newsmax TV.